Welcome to Lively Lewis Stories.
Buckle up, because you're about to join Levi and Ivy on an adventure.
All you need is your imagination, and
Off we go! Lively Lewis Stories!
Hey there, awesome friends.
Guess what?
We're super thrilled to share some exciting news with you.
We've got our very own Lively Lewis merchandise.
Woohoo! Grab your parents and head over to livelylewisshop.com or simply click on the link below in our show notes.
Now, let's dive into today's story.
The energy at Oakwood Elementary that morning was electric. Everyone in Levi and Ivy's class was beyond excited for their upcoming field trip, because this was no ordinary field trip. They weren't going to the zoo or the aquarium, and they certainly couldn't get there by bus. Because this year, Levi and Ivy's class was going on an African safari. I can't wait to see elephants, said Ivy. I'm going to see if I can run faster than a cheetah. Their friends joined in saying what they were most looking forward to on this big trip. The amazing animals, the breathtaking landscape, and the chance to see it all live and in person, and not just on a video. I can't believe we're leaving for Africa tomorrow, exclaimed Ivy to her friends. This is going to be the best field trip ever. I just have a few more things to pack before we leave in the morning, added Levi. My big water bottle to stay hydrated on the hot savanna, my binoculars so I don't miss one animal, and my travel toolkit, because you never know when something will need fixing. The next morning seemed to take forever to arrive, but when it did, Levi and Ivy met all their friends at the airport with their families and teachers. And after a little more waiting, they were off on the trip of a lifetime. But what they didn't know then was that they would learn so much more than which animals called Africa home. They would learn that teamwork makes everything possible, and that the bond shared by those who work together to accomplish a task can never be broken. Hours and hours passed as Levi, Ivy, and their class soared above the clouds toward Africa. When they finally touched down, they quickly headed off to the nature preserve where they would be staying during their trip. The next morning would be busy, and they knew they needed to get some sleep. I can't wait for our safari tomorrow, whispered Levi to Ivy as he settled into his bed. I know, Ivy whispered back. How am I going to get any sleep tonight? I'm just so excited. But as she was saying that, she began to yawn, and the busy day finally got the better of her and Levi. They both fell asleep quickly with thoughts of an amazing African adventure swirling in their heads. The morning arrived quickly with a flurry of activity. The kids all met for breakfast, but most were too excited to eat. The children and teachers met their safari guides, Nia and Jaden, and all piled into a giant Jeep. Their parents stayed behind at the camp area and would be taking their own safari trip later that day. Everyone waved goodbye as the Jeep rumbled away from the camp and disappeared over a small hill and onto the seemingly endless savanna. Nia pointed out different animals as they passed. Elephants, lions, gazelles, water buffaloes, zebras, and so many more amazing creatures. Jaden talked about their different skills, how prey animals use camouflage to hide in tall grass, and how predators rely heavily on the stealth and speed to get a meal. Ivy looked on in amazement and had her camera ready to capture it all. So when the Jeep stopped so everyone could get a good look around, Ivy was ready to capture the moment when she saw her first herd of elephants. Look at those beautiful elephants, whispered Ivy with great excitement. I can't believe I'm here seeing them in their natural environment. This is the best field trip ever. And it certainly was. Everywhere they looked, there were more animals and more views they had never seen before. Then in the tall grass, Levi thought he heard something rustling. Nia and Jaden told everyone to be quiet and still. They all turned their attention to the tall grass and watched as a cheetah and her two cubs made their way out onto the morning sun. They stretched and yawned as Ivy took pictures and Levi peered closer with his binoculars. Wow, everyone said together. Do you think if they started running, I could keep up with them? Levi asked Nia. Not unless you're a superhero with super speed, Nia responded with a big smile. They can run between 50 to 80 miles per hour. But if they start to head off, we can follow them as long as we stay a good distance away. Our Jeep is fast enough to keep up. The cheetah started to gracefully wander off, and since the Jeep had been stopped for a little while at that point, Nia and Jaden decided it was time to get rolling. But their Jeep had other ideas. Jaden turned the key and the engine sputtered and clanked. He turned the key again and the same thing happened. At this point, some of the kids and teachers heard the commotion and knew the Jeep shouldn't sound like that. Jaden tried again, reassuring everyone that this happens from time to time and that everything would be fine. That was until the sputtering and clanking stopped completely after they all heard a loud pop. It was loud enough to make all the animals in the area scatter. So after the dust settled from a few dozen African animals hurriedly running away, Naya and Jaden looked at everyone in the Jeep and said they had a problem. However, they were sure they could fix it and everyone should just sit tight and continue to enjoy the view. But after 20 minutes of looking under the hood and trying to find out what was wrong, it started to become obvious that it was a bigger problem than Naya and Jaden had first thought. "How long do you think we'll be out here?" asked Miss Anderson, one of the teachers. "Do you think we'll have to sleep out here tonight?" asked a student. "Won't that be dangerous?" asked another, sounding a bit nervous. "Don't worry, everyone. I'm sure Naya and Jaden will get the Jeep up and running in no time," said Levi, trying to remain calm and positive. But shortly after he said that, he overheard the guides telling Miss Anderson that the problem was something they couldn't fix with the supplies they had in the Jeep, and they would have to wait until another safari group drove by. Levi comforted Ivy as she saw that she and some of the other kids were looking a bit worried. "How about you use your cell phone to call camp and have them send out another Jeep?" suggested Levi. "That's a good idea, and we already tried a few times, but our cell phone doesn't seem to have a connection this far out," answered Naya. "But don't worry, it'll take some time, but we'll figure this out." "It's true," added Jaden. "My mom always told me this African proverb that said, 'If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.'" After hearing that, Levi was confident that they would be okay. But he knew that for this to happen, they had to fix the Jeep. At that moment, he remembered that he had put his travel toolkit in his backpack before they left camp that morning. "Maybe I can take a look?" said Levi to Naya and Jaden. "I love fixing things, and I've been helping my dad work on a car restoration project for the last few months." Naya and Jaden knew any help was good help in the situation and walked Levi over to the front of the Jeep. He looked under the hood and after a few minutes of searching exclaimed, "It's the fan belt!" "That's great," said Miss Anderson, "but can you fix it?" "That's just it," said Levi. "I could fix it, but the belt has snapped in half and we need another one to get the Jeep working again. And I don't remember seeing a car parts store on the Savannah on our car ride out here." That's when Ivy stepped forward. She was always up for a challenge and thought she could help. "I remember when we were learning about the different plants that grow in Africa, that there are some that are so strong that they're used to make really sturdy baskets," said Ivy. "They're flexible enough to bend into circles, so maybe we can find some and use them to make a natural fiber fan belt. We just need it to work long enough to get us back to camp." Levi loved the idea, and Naya and Jaden thought it could work. But mostly they were really impressed with the teamwork that Levi and Ivy showed as she began to look for vines, and Levi began to remove the damaged fan belt. Levi and Ivy worked together, and everyone else in the group started to see the magic they were creating. A sense of calm fell over the situation, and their once nervous classmates and teachers started to lend a hand as well. The team grew and grew until everyone was helping. Some gathered rocks to help prop up the Jeep, while others helped Ivy look for strong vines. Others created a makeshift shade cover out of their jackets and some blankets that were in the Jeep, so Levi, Naya, and Jaden could stay cool while working on the fan belt. After a few hours of hard work, the entire group waited anxiously while Jaden got behind the wheel of the Jeep and turned the key. At first, the engine struggled to turn over, but then all of a sudden, it whirled to life and the Jeep was ready to go. Everyone cheered and high-fived each other, realizing that by working together, they solved the problem that was in front of them. It didn't just make them feel good, it made them feel proud and confident that no matter what other obstacles arose, that they would be able to get over them if they just worked together. As they drove back to camp, the sun was beginning to set in the distance and painted the savannah with warm pink, yellow, and orange light. Animals began to emerge from their shady hiding places and roam the savannah as the day began to cool off. "This was some safari," said Levi to Ivy. "It sure was," responded Ivy. "I'll never forget it. And just think, if we hadn't gotten stuck out there, we would have never have seen this amazing sunset." Naya and Jaden said goodbye to the kids and told them what a great job they did that day. The kids thanked their guides and waved goodbye as they hopped off the Jeep and ran to very excited parents, happy to see that they were all safe and sound. But before Ivy and Levi could join their parents, Naya and Jaden pulled them aside. "We just wanted to say that we're really proud of you both out there," said Naya. "The way you worked together didn't just fix the Jeep, but inspired your classmates and teachers too," added Jaden. "They'll never forget this experience of working as a team, and they'll use what they learned today through the rest of their lives." "You should feel really good about that," said Naya as she and Jaden got back into the Jeep. "Thank you," said Ivy. "Yeah, thank you," added Levi. And I'll never forget what you told me on the savannah, Jaden. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Levi and Ivy ran off with the classmates and teachers. The sun sank in the sky as a group of very excited kids, now bonded together as a team, eagerly told their parents everything that happened to them on their amazing African adventure. Did you learn a lesson from this story?
If so, what was it?
And parents, do your kids have a story idea?
Leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, the idea and your kid's name, for a chance to join Levi and Ivy on their next adventure. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. Come back for more.